Good morning and welcome to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE, online at kvre.com and on iHeartRadio. Alongside Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, feels good to be back in the studio after a week of icy conditions, just grisly weather conditions out there. We hope all of our listening base is safe and warm during this time of year. But Tracy, the weather outside might be cold, but things have been heating up over in Wolf Country, and that's where we begin today's show, off to a 20-1 start to the season, an 18-game winning streak, and an undefeated record in 5A South play. Lake Hamilton Lady Wolves basketball has been tearing up the court this winter and shows no signs of slowing down, even in the midst of this ice storm. Coach Blake Conley joins us on the show this week to tell us more. Coach, welcome to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. Let's start from the beginning this year. Brag on some of these girls. Who is really showing up and showing out for you and this team this season?
Yeah, so first off, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. We actually have a really unique group of girls, I think, this year. We're usually playing about 9 girls in most of our games. But really, the reason it stops there is because it's hard to get more than that in the game. Our roster of 13 girls, they're all pretty good players. And so even in games when we've had to, sub and get some girls in deep in the bench, they're still really good. So it makes it tough on the other team to figure it out. But yeah, we really spread our scoring out. We've got, girls that they play really aggressive, really hard on defense and, create offense off of our defense. And then they share the ball really well. I mean, we've got, our leading scorer right now is Haley Ferguson, and she averages about 10 points a game, followed by Desire Christian with like 9.5 points a game, followed by a couple of sophomores, Maylee Robinson and Grayson Hurley, that average like 9 points a game, and then, another senior that averages 8 points a game. It's really spread out, the way that our girls do it, and they've embraced that, and they're, I just think that's what makes this team really special is how they share the ball and how nobody really cares who gets the credit. They're just interested.
Coach, obviously you're sharing the rock quite a bit, or the team is, obviously, but once again, scoring's one thing, but defending the rock is another. Does it depend on what team you're playing as far as or how the game's going as far as your defense, zone, or man to, or girl to girl, I should say on that one, but how do you determine your defensive style?
Yeah, we want it to be aggressive. We want to pressure the ball. And that's no matter if we're playing man or zone, but if anybody, that knows much about Lake Hamilton girls basketball know we're usually going to play man to man, and that's what we, kind of hang our hat on. And, but we will mix in some zone depending on the matchup. Like you said, there are just times that, we have to, try to get creative, whether there's a mismatch or, a team we're playing, trying to take away their strength. That's a coaching mentor that I talked to said, one of the things you want to always try to do is take away what the other team's really good at. And so that's how we try to plan it. And we try to help our girls, not just rely totally on talent, but, we want them to be smart basketball players. And so we spend a lot of time watching film. This group is, it's really easy to want them to be smart players. As a team, our GPA is just under a 4.2. It's like a 4.19. So, you've got girls who are committed to, not just being good athletes and basketball players, but they're smart, in the classroom and other places as well. So, yeah, we try to, do some different things. We'll try to game plan, and we usually try to have more than one plan going into the game because we all know the best laid plans don't always work. So we want to have, plan A, plan B, plan C, maybe plan D if we need it, just to try to make it really difficult on our opponents, whoever we're playing. and just, make those adjustments as we go through the game.
Coach, you've talked about the talent, the intelligence, the basketball IQ of this squad. Tell me about the leadership and the team chemistry. We all see the end product on the floor on game night, but there's so much that goes into it behind the scenes. What does that level of success look like in practices, off the court, and even in the classroom, getting these girls stronger every single day?
Yeah, so it's interesting you mentioned that. I had one of the high school teachers told me just a week or two ago that, man, anytime I see one of your girls in the high school, I see, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them together. Like he said, that it's like they're always together. They're always spending time with each other. They look for each other. When this snow was going on that we've been dealing with this last week, a group of them ended up, riding by the house on their four-wheelers. They find ways to get together and spend time together. And one of the things that I try to always tell the girls is, you don't have to be best friends with your teammates. You just have to understand what it is to be a good teammate and how to love and respect them when we're, on the court and when we're being a team. But it's carried over to them away from the court. And I think that's what makes it special. And I will say, I feel like one of my strengths as a coach is trying to find ways to facilitate and build that camaraderie and that, build that team. And so we're intentional about the things that we do, whether it be before practice, during practice, on the way to the games, on road trips. And this all started, back in April of last year, whenever our previous season was over. We start, building for the next season. You really start working on trying to build those relationships and getting the girls where they, understand how to support each other. And I'll say this, we got to play in a showcase game down at the King Cotton Classic over the Christmas break. And one of the things that the news commentators said, we got some time on one of the news stations was there covering all the games, and they said, man, just look at this bench and how engaged they are and how much they're celebrating their teammates whenever things are happening. That's just kind of who these girls have embraced and who they are, that they're going to be there for each other and support each other. So I've been really proud of them because it doesn't always happen like that. It's a special group that will love and celebrate each other like they do.
Coach, when you were talking earlier about their averages and stuff like that, I heard you mention, not only seniors but juniors and sophomores, and as a team, they're really making a commitment. And like you said, maybe not best friends, but they're committed to being around each other and working on that. Do you find the background that you've got, whether it was at Hector or Brian or some of your mentors, is it accumulative on how you've been able to instructing them on that and how you've been able to help them to mentor them, so to speak?
Yeah, really, I am happy that I've been able to learn these things, but then I'm embarrassed that I didn't know them earlier. We always learn the most through our failures, and I'll just say, I've had some teams in the past that I didn't do a good enough job setting them up for success, putting them in situations to do that. And so, I just tried to really focus and for me to learn how to facilitate that so that I wouldn't let a team down like that again. And so it's just been, a process for me learning how to put the girls in situations where they can build their leadership skills. We go through some leadership training as a team, and then we also, kind of branch off different groups, and we go to the classroom and we talk about what it is to be a leader, and also what it is to be a follower. We're not all going to have the same role. We're not all going to do the same things, but really spending time just knowing what that looks like, knowing what that is, and then being able to get into those situations when it comes to the court. And I think anybody that has been around our program and been around me long enough to know, this is not really about basketball. This is much bigger than basketball. It's going to be, what's going to help these girls be successful when they get done, whenever they leave us. And I think all the leadership qualities, learning how to work with people, learning how to overcome differences, finding commonality between you and someone else so that you can find a common goal and you can work towards that. That's going to help these girls be successful in their families, in their jobs when they're older, all things like that. Basketball is just a tool that I get to use to try to help teach them that. But it's, we talk about that. It's much bigger than basketball, but we just use basketball as that tool. And it's been something I've had to learn, in my years as a coach. And hopefully I just keep getting better at that, because we're always going to be learning and finding new ways to do things.
Coach, of course, we've got to talk about the elephant in the room, and that's this ice storm. It's brought everything to a halt, an unexpected bye week, if you will. What are some of the ways that you've helped keep the team engaged and connected during this break? It can be a double-edged sword. I know that the team was battling some illness, and this gives them a chance to heal. But also for a team as red hot as you've been, how do you avoid this team cooling off without being on the floor for a week?
Yeah, we I've been making notes the last few days, and that way we can bring back and just talk to the girls and remind them about the things that we've been doing, the things that have led to what success we've been able to have up to this point, and you really just want to double down on those things, not make too big a deal of it. We talk about being able to control the things that we can control. Well, this is something out of our control. The weather is not anything that we can control. You talked about the illnesses. We had a lot of girls sick with the flu, and just really, us being without players here and there the last couple of weeks. And we couldn't control that, but then now we got this break. Hopefully everybody will be healed up, and then, we do what we can coming back and just find a way to, be able to get ourselves back together, moving in the same direction. And one of the things we talk about is there's always going to be something come up during a season. I mean, our season's long. It goes over, both semesters at school. It's 4.5 months. That's just of the games. That's not even counting the preseason in the summer. So it's a really long season, and there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be things that happen. And I think the teams that end up having the most success are the ones that find ways to navigate through all of those things that they can't really control and learning how to deal with it. And again, here's the life lesson. There's going to be many stuff for the rest of their lives that they can't control. And just how do they respond to that? How do they deal with that? What's their response coming out of those things that they can't control? So hopefully when we get back in the gym, we're able to just focus on those things and get ourselves moving in the right direction.
When you do get back on the court, projected this week, of course, it's crunch time, right? You think about March, it's literally about a month away. Obviously you want to be representing Hot Springs in the state tournament. Let's talk about goals. What does this team need to do to not only finish the job in conference play? What is the limit for Lake Hamilton girls basketball this year, if there is one?
Yeah, so it's interesting. When we had a media day back before the season, and you always wonder if your kids are hearing the messages that you're trying to get out there. One of our seniors at media day, she said, Coach Conley always says we want to be our best at the end of November going into March, whenever it's going to be the state tournament. And, she said that back in October when we had a media day. And that's just the thing that we just try to tell them, that there's always things we can improve. There's always things that, we're working on, and we're trying to just hit our stride as we come into, the end of the season going into it. And so, yeah, that's the thing that we'll focus on whenever we get back in is, hey, what's just little things that we can clean up, little things that we can do better to help us, be the best we can be. And so, when we talk about goals and we talk about things we want to do, we just try to put it in perspective of, okay, what's the best this team can be? That's what we're shooting for. That's what we're trying to get to. And I'm not sure we even know yet. Like we've talked about as a team that, and I don't think we've played our best game yet. We've had, a couple of girls play well in a game and a couple others have an off night, and then, which makes a good team. It's the reason I think that we're 20-1, but our goal is to get to that point where we can all have those good games at the same time and on the same night, and we're all, just clicking at the same time. That's our goal, and we'll see if we can pull that off over these next few weeks down the stretch of the season.
And of course, Coach, we would like to send you out on one last question here. Every time we have a coach on, we'd like to ask if you can share with us a funny moment from behind the scenes, or maybe what you feel like has been the defining moment for your team up to this point this year. Tell us a story that maybe the generic fan base doesn't know.
And listen, this group of girls, I told you that they're always together. They're always, looking for things they can do, as a group. And we're sitting at, we got some games back over Christmas break here at our gym, and it's early in the morning. There's not very many people here, except it's really loud out in the gym. Like there's laughing, there's, and I looked at my assistant and I said, I think our girls are here. And she just started laughing. She said, yeah. She said, you always know whenever they're coming in. And that's, to me, that's not, there's that one instance, but that's all the time. I mean, that's just the way this group is. And they're a lot of fun. There's a few of them that you can't take them too seriously because they're always looking for jokes to crack and things to do to harass people, and just enjoying that and let them have fun. And I think that just leads to the success that we're going to have. As a girls basketball coach, everybody, always asks me like, oh man, like I can only imagine the things you hear and the things that are happening. I'm like, yeah, there's nothing really going to surprise me, because, these girls, they'll, it's just like a big family, and they'll just say what comes on their mind. But yeah, it's definitely, it's interesting. It's a lot of fun, and I'm, already thinking that we're down to just a little over a month left in the season, and this is a group that I really don't, I'm not looking forward to getting to March. I am looking forward to it, but that always means the season's going to come to a close, and I'm just going to try to soak this up and enjoy it, because we won't ever have this team together again. We're doing graduations and things like that. So, yeah, we're going to try to enjoy it, and I just know that having a front row seat for it is it's a lot of fun. It's really special.
Blake Conley of Lake Hamilton High School girls basketball coach, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck to the Lady Wolves down the stretch this season.
Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate you guys inviting me to come on.
Awesome job there, Tracy. We'd love to hear the success of the program. They've been red hot since the start of the season. I can't wait to see what the squad does next, and I have a really strong feeling this team's going to be representing the Spa City well coming up in March.
I think we're going to be interviewing him and a couple of the girls here before it's all said and done. No doubt about that. We always talk about champions that are in our region.
That's right.
I think we're talking to one of them right now there, Mark.
That's right. All right. More to come on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a moment on 92.9 KVRE.
Second quarter coming up.
And we're back, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition at 92.9 KVRE. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. We hope that you're staying warm out there.
It's Mark, how did you get here this morning?
I'll be honest.
You're not a cold-blooded animal. I know you.
I hate the cold. I absolutely hate the cold. But here's the deal. I hate being trapped at home any longer also. What a week, by the way. My kids, hats off to my boys, Ben and River, for still being alive at this point, because those two found every possible way to try to kill each other this week out of sheer boredom. They built snowmen. They went out into the yard. They built snowmen. Pretty impressive snowmen, I might add.
That's tough snow, too.
They did really. I was really, really impressed. Okay, not one of those, oh, look what my kids did. Oh, it's so cute. They actually really did a good job. And then within minutes, I look back out the window, and they literally have picked up their snowmen or are trying to throw them at each other. Okay, I don't know if it's sibling rivalry. I don't know if it's boys being boys, but we'll look back and remember this moment as fun family bonding, and we survived and whatever. It's time to talk a little bit of NFL because we've got a big game coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend, and we'll break that down that matchup specifically more on next week's show, but we still have to talk about how we got here. The AFC Championship game, the New England Patriots in a thriller, in the snow, in Denver. Tough place to play, tough place to breathe, I think, with the conditions out there. It all came down to a blocked field goal in the snow, punching the ticket to the Super Bowl. The Tom Brady era, there's not going to be a curse of the Bambino or whatever Tom Brady's nickname is. I don't know if Tom Brady ever got a nickname, and that's probably a big travesty on his career there.
Goat. Hello? Hello?
Maybe
Okay.
Curse of the Goat. Well, not so fast. Not so fast. The new era is here, and of course, Drake May has punched his ticket to the title game. The Patriots hung on to a narrow lead, and New England got a hand on Will Lutz's field goal attempt in the end. Blocking would have tied the game late. Jarrett Stidham, honestly, to me, Treasy, didn't look super bad. He marched right down the field, punched a touchdown through, and I said, you know what? This could be a really good story if Denver is able to survive. But just as I predicted a week ago, New England had just that much more. That defense holding strong the rest of the way, shutting down the Broncos' final attempt and sealing that gritty win in the snow. I know it's not the outcome you wanted, but your thoughts on the game?
Well, you know what? I tell you what, the team that I had been on the bandwagon for the whole time, of course, did not have Stidham, but no excuses.
Yeah.
You still got to stay with the team you're with.
Yes.
Now, what I did, and which we talked about, we did talk about this prior to the game, timing. If there was anything, and of course, we were talking about how so the defenses, which was dominant, of course, the score showed that. But the timing, I believe, made the difference. Play calling was at a premium, but the timing, what you saw in May, making those runs, those successful runs, those sealers, those, especially the one at the end, obvious. But the timing, Stedman, his pocket presence, he just stayed in there a little too long. I think you'd have saw Nix take off a little earlier once he, you got to have that clock in your head. Everybody knows that. 1, 2, 3 count as you go through your progressions, but you got to go quick. And then once he saw it, especially the way the rush was, I mean, give credit. That defense, I think that was the best. I believe that was the best defense showing I've seen all year from New England. I'll be honest with you. But his timing, I think his timing was just a little bit slow just from not being out on the real playing field. And we talk about it all the time. Practice is one thing, but when you're playing in the game, it's a totally different animal. And I think his pocket presence was a little off, and I think that made the difference.
Yeah, Drake May certainly had an MVP caliber performance there. And of course,
he impressed me, dude. He impressed me.
I mean, all season long, he has been the guy quietly in the shadows, and now they are one game away from the Lombardi Trophy. But first, the NFC Championship, Seahawks, Rams, instant classic. We knew that it would be here. The swing moment in this game came down to a 4th down pass breakup from the Seattle defense. This was one of the most impressive offensive showings, I feel, out of both of these teams. A total barn burner. The Rams are going for the go-ahead score late in the 4th quarter. There's 4:59 left in the game. Devin Witherspoon for Seattle gets in, breaks up that 4th down pass in the end zone. I mean, these teams are matching score for score. The real difference maker was that Seattle scored going into halftime. Seattle gets the ball going into the 3rd and goes down and score. That was the difference maker in this game and pulled just enough ahead for Sam Darnold and the boys to get it done. Of course, Darnold trying to prove to the world that he belongs in the discussion as an elite quarterback against the veteran and Matthew Stafford. He's done this before. Hey, and I'll be the first to say, I was on record, especially before the Bears game and after the Bears game, I believed that LA was the best team left in the hunt, period. AFC, NFC, doesn't matter. I believed the Rams were going to win it all. And I still, to this day, believe that the Rams, when you think about the 4 teams that were left, I still believe that the Rams were the best team left on paper. Stafford and Puka Nacua, I believe that he was going to go on to be the Super Bowl MVP, and it was just Seattle wanting it more. I hate to go to the cliche there, but you look at Sam Darnold's day, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, timely defensive stops by the defense. I mean, they're going to the Super Bowl, and we're getting a rematch that we haven't seen. I think it's been 10 years.
10
I think
years.
it's 10 years.
10 years.
Since Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Seattle has an opportunity to undo what could possibly have been the biggest mistake in Super Bowl history, not handing the ball to Marshawn Lynch on the goal line. Malcolm Butler gets the interception. Tom Brady and the Patriots win the Super Bowl in the most improbable fashion. Butler with ties to Arkansas, by the way. They have an opportunity now to go out and change. Well, they can't change history, but they can change the narrative going forward. They can flip the script, if you will. We're going to discuss the Seahawks and the Patriots more. We're going to break down the matchup more in next week's show. So a little cliffhanger, keep you on ice, if you will, if you're not sick of ice enough as it is
Bada boom.
right now. We're actually going to switch gears a little bit here, Tracy. Now, the teams are going to get a week off to prepare for Super Bowl 60, but in the meantime, Super Bowl 60's halftime show is going to be headlined by...
Let me eat a little crow real quick, though. Let me eat a little crow because I want to say to everybody out there, I was talking about Sam Darnold,
Okay.
and you know what, and talking about his position as far as what he had done so far in the past, but he's never had a chance like this before.
You're right.
And the pressure times he'd always, and I'm not going to say choke because obviously his line had a lot to do with that too. He just never had a good line like he's got right now. Unbelievable. But I'm going to tell you what. And May is a young man, obviously one of the youngest on the team. New England's one of the youngest teams in the league, obviously.
Yeah.
But this guy's given a chance once again to be in the Super Bowl. He leads Minnesota to an unbelievable season.
I know.
And they don't do – and so I went ahead and did a little bit more history on him.
Yeah.
A little bit more research. The guy has always come through. Not always his fault that he threw an interception or took a sack or something. His line wasn't the best at all. Mm-hmm. None of them were a Pro Bowl capability, mentality, or never made it his line. But the guy proved a point here. Minnesota wouldn't give him $500,000. McCarthy, obviously that was the guy they were looking at. And so nobody gave the guy any respect whatsoever. He's got my respect now. I'll be honest with you. Staying in the pocket, going through his progressions, and he took some hits.
You're right.
He took some hits. And so I'm just going to tell you right now, I'll go on the record right now that I'm obviously a fan of his now because the guy, and like you and I talked about too, the short passes out in the flats, getting it out, set it up for him to then go down the field once he built up some confidence. And you just stated 300-plus yards and such. Most of them were those short passes, the inside, the little curls, the little slants, out into the back who you talked about.
Yes.
Man, he looked
Kenneth
good.
Walker.
He looked good. But anyway, I just want to eat a little crow right now. I wasn't dogging him or anything, but I just wasn't on his bandwagon. Well, guess what? I think this is going to be two quarterback matchups. An older statesman, well, even in his late 20s. But still, I think I'll eat a little crow on that one. The guy's good.
The next generation of elite quarterbacks is here.
Yep.
Get on because someone is about to jumpstart their future.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to put that one on the record, okay?
So what we do know is that Super Bowl 60's halftime show is going to be headlined by Bad Bunny. Marks the first time that a solo Latino artist leads the performance. He's a 3-time Grammy winner. He's a global superstar. He's actually one of the most streamed artists on the entire planet. Now, Tracy, I'll admit, Bad Bunny is not in my daily rotation.
It's not? Come on.
It's just not my thing. That's okay. But what I will say is I have been pleasantly surprised before when it comes to Super Bowl halftime performances featuring artists that aren't my natural cup of tea. And we've seen a lot of them really in the more recent years of Super Bowl halftime shows. So, I thought about it and there's been some really great shows over the years. So I thought this would be a good time, since we have the week off, to reflect on our favorite Super Bowl halftime performances of all time. I went back through the list. There's really 4. To me, there's 4, and I feel like that's a lot. I'm not going to go into each one specifically, but I know that you said that you had some as well. We did not share our answers openly before we hit the record button. So I'm curious, I want you to start us off. Super Bowl halftime performances, which ones stand out? Do you have a favorite?
Okay, are we going to go back and forth and trade them off like 1, 2, 3, and 4? Because I want to say one.
How many do you have?
I've got 3.
Okay, I'll go with my 3. Let's go. Let's go. How about you do your 3, 2, 1?
Favorites are most memorable.
If it's your most memorable, it may
right off the bat,
are those not the same?
Nah, just the one episode that
I'm going to
happened.
let you go first.
Okay.
I'm going to let you go first.
You sure?
And
You want to draw straws?
I'll do my 3.
We can draw
I
straws.
have a feeling that our number 1 is going to be the same, but I'm just me guessing. It's just me guessing.
Any initials like JT?
Stop it. No easy buckets.
JJ and JT?
It's your turn to talk.
Did I just steal your thunder?
I'm sure that was your favorite moment. I have no doubts about that.
Well, for one thing, I mean, he is one of my favorite artists, but she's one of my favorite Jacksons in the world.
Okay.
Simply because of that episode,
Because of that? Really? Really? An iconic artist. Really? That's your favorite Janet Jackson moment?
Oh, no, you said halftime entertainment.
I'm sorry.
Super Bowl.
Your time to talk.
Is what you said.
Do your thing.
No, either stick with the program or change the segment altogether, Mark.
I'm going to let you talk.
Okay, but yes, I thought that between the two, the choreography of that show, because obviously they're two really well talented, and especially back in that time they were in their prime and could really move. I mean, and the choreography between the two of them, because they did that show together. They set it all up together as a duet, as a dance team, and they set that up. People don't realize that. You think they spent a bunch of money, but here's another kicker, and we're going to talk about this before that. The Super Bowl people don't get paid.
That's right.
They don't get paid.
That's right.
This is a volunteer base to come out and do this show, and so they spent all that time working together, which they'd never done before.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they paid the extra bit for the stage. Okay, I did my little research on this. So, yes, the mishap as far as the wardrobe, that was just a little icing on the cake, so to speak, I guess, for you youngsters out there. Do your Google search.
It was unintentional, correct?
Oh, dude.
I mean, sort of. Like, I think he always intended to rip the piece off. He just never intended for all of it to come off.
Well, and that's what I was alluding to, is because they paid for everything, and I don't think they looked this one over very well because you've got the stickum and stuff that you use in football. I think they used too much stickum in the wardrobe department.
Okay.
Because, it was a mishap in front of 50 million people. But as it is, that's going to happen. And it was live. Mm-hmm. It was live, no doubt about it. But here's the professional end of it. They just kept going. They still had another minute and a half after that, and they acted like it was nothing to it. But the look tells it all between the two of them when they looked at each other. That was not in the program by no means.
Yeah.
But I'm going to back up a little bit. Like I said, between the two of them, they had some major hits, of course. We all know about Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson and all their accolades and such. But that particular moment, the professionals they just went on with it. And, and he twirled her around, actually, so she reinforced her wardrobe. So, that was, I believe that was one of my most entertaining, most memorable ones. I've got another one.
Go ahead.
Can you expand on that part? Do you remember the dance and the songs?
Talking about from Justin and Janet?
Yeah.
I remember the show differently than you did because I remember them cutting it after that.
It shut it off right
I don't know if you're watching the Super Bowl on a different channel than I was.
It shut it right
One
off.
of them pay-per-view channels.
It shut it right off.
That's what I remember them cutting it off. You're talking about a minute. They kept going. I don't remember any of that.
They shut it right. But here's the deal. They did have a little bit, and they showed that down the road is what they did, because when they left the stage, they did because the song was still going.
Well, my closing thoughts on that is Justin Timberlake got another go in the Super Bowl. If you remember, he got another halftime show. Janet Jackson has not. So food for thought there. I felt that was weirdly unfair. So one that sticks out to me, I guess this one would be my number 3, was last year's Super Bowl halftime show, Kendrick Lamar. So admittedly, going into the show, much like this Super Bowl, I really wasn't a Kendrick Lamar fan. I knew some of the songs. I had some that I did really, really like. His collaboration with The Weeknd, Sidewalks, is one of my favorite songs of all time. But seeing the performance with Kendrick and going in, and I didn't know the majority of the songs that he did play at the time, just the cinematic performance there and the themes, and you could really tell that it was there was so much. It was such an intentional show with the messaging and the visuals. I became a fan after watching that show, and I was super impressed. And I still listen to SZA in my daily rotation today, based on that was my first real introduction to that voice, and I'm like, whoa. And that combination, those two together, is just masterful. So that was an instance for me. The Kendrick Lamar show. My sons and I still, if I need something to do in the background, I will just put that show back on and let it play in the background. I was so impressed. For me, that was an instance where I didn't really know and follow the artist, but now I do, and it was because of the Super Bowl halftime show.
Well, my second one, before my all-time number one, is I'm not a huge fan, so to speak. As an entertainer, I can respect her and what she's done for obviously for what she's done, not only on stage, but off the stage, and just her performances while singing and also while in the movies and stuff. But Lady Gaga's, I thought that one was, now that particular choreography, her flying around and doing all that stuff, and the changes that she did during the show and stuff, and the glamour glitz.
Yeah, I
thought that was a performance that obviously, was something straight up you would have paid $1 jillion to go see, and we got it on at the halftime. And like I said, I'm not a huge Lady Gaga, but I do respect what she brought to it, and I watched that halftime show, and I thought that, her professionalism on it. People don't realize how many instruments she plays and what she does.
She's extremely gifted.
She is.
She had maybe like a weird phase in there for a while.
Yeah,
and I think it's not everybody's cup of tea, but her the length of what she's capable of as an artist, also pretty same thing. I am not a Lady Gaga fan. I still do not consider myself to be one, but I was entertained by that halftime show.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that the Super Bowl brings. It gives you an opportunity. If you don't know them, it gives you a chance to be like, whoa, okay. Number two for me is, I don't really know how to classify. I mean, it's Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, and it's and cast as well. You had Eminem, you had Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, Anderson .Paak. I am a huge 90s and early 2000s rap fan. Absolutely huge. These are all artists that I grew up on. I loved the hip hop variety special and some of the classics there. I never thought that we would see anything like that at a Super Bowl halftime show, and I was pleasantly surprised there. Hearing all the classics, there's some artists that are no longer with us that I wish could have been up on the stage with them as well. For me, just as a rap enthusiast myself, that was like living back through the history of the genre, and to me, I was that's one of my most memorable Super Bowl halftime performances. I loved it.
I wish Snoop would have been out there a little bit more. I didn't understand the storyline that they were going through, because it was I don't know. It brought up the big towns and buildings were coming up everywhere, and I didn't understand the storyline of it, I guess. And, of course, I didn't know the songs, obviously. I knew Dogs. I mean, he's an OG, same as me.
Sure.
And so that I did appreciate. And, once again, a good quality entertainer is what I'm going to say with him, because he's just that. But as far as the other guys, I just didn't understand the storyline to that, or it just seemed like it was just coming at every angle. I just didn't understand it. I mean, I learned something from it.
They packed a lot into that performance there.
Yeah, and I just thought,
and maybe it's not for everybody. I loved it. Absolutely.
My wife loved it. She and my sons, which, they're right behind you. They're your age. They were all, and I was like, okay, I'm just not getting this part.
Sure.
I just thought it was a cluster. I really thought I'd love some more Dog on there. Me and the OGs, we were doing everything.
Well,
but
it comes down to this. Okay. I want to know what your favorite Super Bowl halftime show ever was.
Well, you were probably just still running around, but let's go back. 1993, Michael Jackson, buddy.
Dang it, Tracy. That's okay. I
relived.
What did I say before we started? I knew that we'd have the first. I knew we'd have the same one. That's okay. That's all right.
Well, I've been around. How long we've been together? We're at odds about 40% of the time, but 60 we're right there. But I Yeah, that one right there. I relived 1982 all the way up to bad, and just that whole. If you recall, it went long. It went long.
You're right. It did, and that's because why?
Well, because he's bad.
No, because for the first 2 minutes of the performance, it was him coming up out of the trap door.
And it didn't open.
He stood still on stage.
Yeah.
He didn't move a muscle because the crowd was losing their absolute minds.
Yep,
and
right.
after 2 minutes, he finally takes the sunglasses off.
Yeah. Oh, and then there was another 2 minutes.
Well, you have to remember. So 1993, this is the performance that redefined what the halftime show was. Before that, it was, marching bands and, sometimes they would have singers out there. This changed the game, just like Michael Jackson always changed the game. Music videos became short films. You know the drill. Absolutely an iconic performance. And of course, it finishes up. They've got 3,500 youngsters down there on the field singing Heal the World. I mean, he knew how to command an audience. It's still my biggest regret as a human being was that, I never had the chance to see him live. Absolutely my favorite performer of all time ever. I believe he's the king of the pop. I believe that he's the GOAT. Absolutely. To me, best Super Bowl halftime performance of all time.
Yeah, and you're going through, guess what? But right now, if you go back and everybody can do this right now, you can stream right now on YouTube and go back and watch all these.
Go back and watch this one specifically because my next question, and I'm sure that we're running out of time in this segment. My next question to you is going to be, what artist do you hope to see performing at halftime at Super Bowl one day? Who's the one? Who's the one that you would really, this could be one of your favorite artists or someone that you think is just a phenomenal superstar that deserves the stage. Who would you like to see?
Boy, that's a tough one right now. That's a tough one because myself, this is sort of, I'd like to see Blake Shelton and his wife.
Oh, Blake and Gwen. Okay.
Yeah.
And Gwen's technically done it before with no doubt.
With no doubt. Right. But I'd like to see them because I've seen them in concert.
Sure.
And believe she came out at his concert.
That's right.
But it was a shorter, she came out at the end. I think if they had an extended one with No Doubt and her and Blake and the kid, when was the last time they had a good country show?
That's fair. The one that comes to mind is possibly Shania Twain. Some might argue that she's half pop, half country.
That's half and half.
So, yeah, I hear what you say on that one.
That's me. That's just mine because it's got a little bit of, pop mixed in with it.
Yeah.
And then you got some country too, which he's everybody likes Blake.
My wife would say Taylor Swift. I think Taylor Swift is very close to equal in terms of the global stage that Michael Jackson commanded. I believe that Taylor Swift is right there. I also believe Taylor Swift will never do the halftime show.
No.
I believe that she's built different, and I believe because it's not paid, because her performers would not get compensated, I believe that's why she'll hold out. Personally, for me, as an early 2000s rock fan, I would love to see what they did for the hip-hop artists. I would love to see some sort of conglomeration of that early 2000s rock, whether it's Linkin Park, you add in your Metallicas of the world, your Breaking Benjamins. I would love to see... I think maybe
Train, you could keep going.
To me, I think it would be Linkin Park plus others, whether it's Disturbed, Mudvayne, Breaking Benjamin. I would love to see somebody give love to the rock and heavy metal artists of the world.
If it was Train to Disturb, my wife would pay $1 billion.
That's my dream halftime performance. All right, let us know yours. 501-915-1300. You can text us. Let us know your favorite halftime performance of all time and which artist you hope to see on the stage one day. More NFL, but we're going to take a quick break. Stick with us. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition continues in a moment on 92.9 KVRE.
Third quarter coming up.
Tracy, I'm sure you've seen this story. Of course, the NFL Hall of Fame announcements are going to be made later on this week, but one name we already know has been leaked who's not on the list. Bill Belichick, the 8-time Super Bowl winning coach, is reportedly not a first ballot Hall of Famer. In voting earlier this month, he fell short of the 40 out of 50 votes needed for induction to the Pro Football Hall of Fame during his first year of eligibility. Several sources think that they're puzzled and disappointed. This is a big deal. Bill Belichick not included on the list. Your thoughts?
Mark, we don't have enough time right now, I'll be honest with you, because this could last for days. It is absolutely, unequivocally unheard of. I mean, you cannot talk professional football without Bill Belichick in that conversation. Now, I don't know who's on the committee. I don't think anybody knows who all the committee is, and I don't think they want you to know, but obviously this is something somebody I don't know. Because from what I hear in everybody, I mean, Bill Belichick, I mean, we just talked a while ago about Tom Brady. Well, guess what? Who else is the other GOAT? Because wherever the guy went, he's a winner. He always has been a winner. Give him a little bit of time at North Carolina, but that's college. We're talking pro. We're talking the best of the best of the best. Who's won the most Super Bowls in one organization? Or tied at least for Pittsburgh. And sure enough, the guy he's one of those guys that, man, you think football. He's up there with Vince Lombardi. He's up there with Tom Landry. He's up there. Come on, really? And I think somebody's got something, I don't know, that we all don't know.
Maybe we do. Multiple sources told ESPN that Spygate and Deflategate, the twin cheating scandals during the Patriots championship run, came up in deliberations behind closed doors among voters. Word behind closed doors was that Belichick should have to wait a year before induction as penance for Spygate, the team scandal that also cost the Patriots a first-round draft pick. And while we don't know everybody that's on the committee, some of the names are actually coming out if you want to go out there and look for them there. They're being leaked out there.
Uh-oh.
And the biggest way to confirm that this is a real deal, the Hall of Fame itself came out with a statement and said 2 members of the committee have been relieved of their duties going forward, which to me confirms the story. If I'm the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't have said a word. But sometimes saying nothing also says something as well. Yeah, real surprised, of course, 8 Super Bowl rings, 6 with the Pats, 2 with the New York Giants as an assistant coach. He's got more division titles than any coach in NFL history. This is a big one for me. I know there's some off the field, it's not necessarily controversy, but there's a lot of spotlight following his girlfriend, who's 49 years younger than he is, and the saga over at UNC on the college level, which is not really going well on the coaching standpoint. But the numbers don't lie. I believe that he should be in. This should be interesting because if they're looking at scandals, someone else who's also included in the potential class is Robert Kraft, who also did not live a scandal-free career while at New England.
Well, hello, and on or off the field, hello. But his is more recognizable. But Mark, you got to look at the big picture. This is about football. Now, is this about your personal life and stuff like that with Robert Kraft and, of course, blah, blah, blah. But this is all about football, and not just at New England. Like you said, the Giants. Even when he was over at Cleveland, no, he didn't win the big ones, but but look how the success that they had when he was there. The guy knows football, and this should be what it's all about. And obviously, somebody had something. If you want to boil it down to Deflategate or whatever the case is, look, or watching plays and such, come on, really? 1 year compared to the 50-something years that he's been coaching? No, that dog don't hunt.
The guy is going to make the Hall of Fame. We all know that, and it's likely going to be next year. But the Hall of Fame committee sent a statement here, and I think it speaks volumes to what they're willing to tolerate in the years ahead. Much more to come on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. Stick with us. We'll be right back on 92.9 KVRE.
Fourth quarter coming up.
Tracy, a huge congratulations to Majestic Park. Hot Springs will add 3 more state championship events to its growing sports resume after Majestic Park was recently selected to host the AAA's Weekend of Champions for baseball, softball, and soccer for the next 3 years. Hot Springs is already the home for state champions in basketball, volleyball, and cross country, and it further cements Hot Springs as the hub for championship high school events here in the state of Arkansas.
Mark, just growing up here, getting to play over there during my days, it makes my heart just so big to see what it is today, and for the likes of like your kids, and do you enjoy that, and the rest of the state, and actually the rest of the world, because as we know, they've had so many events where there's been players from around the world. So yeah, what they're doing over there is unbelievable, and it's something that everybody can enjoy. If you haven't been out there, you need to get out there. Whether you have a kid playing, a grandkid playing, or just come on out and enjoy the sport and enjoy the relations that you can find out there.
Baseball and softball state championship games will be held at Majestic from May 21st to the 23rd, while the soccer state championships will be held at May 22nd and 23rd at Lakeside High School. That's our show, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. We're here every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. We'll see you next week.
Game over.